Okay, because there is no single more important factor in your personal happiness than who you marry and have a relationship with. The person that you choose to be with and spend the bulk of your life with will determine the kind of person you turn out to be, the kind of day you have, your financial happiness, so many other things.
That's true.
And our next guests are experts in this area. They are marriage and family counselors, and they are also the founders of Couples Academy. And I want to introduce you tonight to my friends Hasani and Danielle Pettiford.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's an honor to be here.
So great
excited.
to have you with us
and you're
tonight.
a repeat guest, our first time with you, so welcome back.
It's good to be back.
Yes, yeah, we're excited to have you. Tell us, first of all, tell us how long you've been married.
Well, 10 years, 10 wonderful, fabulous years we've been married.
Yes, we have.
I want to tell you that it started out, my husband was Romeo. That's why I married him, because he was so romantic. And then we got married, and then suddenly he disappeared.
Things changed.
Did they change?
Was this because of work, a life situation,
You know
or
what?
just...
It's just because that's what happens when you get into a relationship. You get into the monotony of things, and things become tedious, and what used to be very, very easy becomes very, very hard.
Right.
And what happens when you marry, you're transitioning from one season of your relationship to another.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with babies and bills and doctors and homework and all of those, responsibilities and obligations of the relationship that oftentimes the sexual, the romantic, the emotional part fades away. So we had to rebuild that and restore that back in our marriage.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you did, because I'm glad you're talking about that, because you're right. When you're wooing her, when you're pursuing her, I mean, it's different, and then reality does set in. I mean, it's hard when you got...
I was thinking about that today. I was like, gosh, it was so easy back then before we had our son and a mortgage and a job and a ministry and everything else. And I thought, that's because I had a car and a college, and college, and that was it, and a job that I could have thrown away. And you're right. As these issues compound, how do we shift our relationship into such a way that we remain and preserve our intimacy within marriage?
Well, what comes natural in the beginning, you have to become then intentional.
Yes.
Once you get into a committed relationship, because you're dealing with so many things, so many factors that oftentimes your mind is going 1,000 different directions, and the last thing that comes in is the intimacy with you and your partner.
Right.
A lot of times couples become parents. So they go from being partners to parents. And then your children become the main focus of your relationship. So you're taking off husband and wife hat and you're putting on mommy and daddy hat. And then all of a sudden you have issues.
And it's
20
more
years
comfortable.
later.
It's more comfortable too, because you start to feel yourself distancing away from your spouse. And so it's easier to cling to that kid. You're too busy for relationships. You're too busy to talk. You're too busy for intimacy. And it becomes a crutch. So a lot of people sleep with the baby right between them. It's easier. You never have to deal with that person.
So you said, you noticed that this had changed. Was that something that you guys instantly started talking about, or was it hard?
It was both of us. It wasn't just him. It was me thinking, oh God, I'm done with this. This is not what I signed up for here. And I'm going to just build this little wall up, and I'm going to be cozy behind my wall. He won't be able to touch me, communicate with me, talk to me, or do anything to me. I'm good here.
Wow.
And we're
good at that as women. I think
yes,
that
you are.
I know that we're difficult creatures. He reminds me of this all the time. He's like, you're so complicated. He always tells me I'm pretty simple, and he is kind of. I think we're more complicated because we build these layers and feelings and
and we can easily compartmentalize things. So we can do 800 things all at one time, and we're doing it like a pro. So I can totally be cooking his dinner and washing clothes and taking care of the kids, and I can also have this wall built up where you're only going to get so far. You're only going to get so close.
The opposite. She'll ask me, "What are you thinking?" And when I say nothing, I really mean nothing. I mean nothing.
What I think really helped us is I believe that the origin of a thing oftentimes determines its nature. So if it starts off wrong, you have the foundation for a bad relationship, even though things can turn around. But in the beginning stages of our relationship, we were focused on trying to make it work. We read books, we went to seminars, we watched DVDs. So when we fell on hard times, we went back to how it was in the beginning. And we became marriage and family counselors, number one, to improve our own relationship and then be a blessing to others. And that's how Couples Academy ultimately was birthed. And now we're traveling all over the country. We've lived internationally and just been a blessing to families all over the world.
Oh my goodness. So how long has Couples Academy been?
Well, we've been married for 10 years. So, I've been a relationship expert for around 15. So I kind of started out speaking on college campuses, churches. I've had a couple of television shows. So we've done a lot. But in the midst of that, we formed another organization called TAFI, Touch and Agree Family Institute, and kind of rebranded branded it into Couples Academy.
Right. Wonderful. And what do you do through Couples Academy? I'm sure many things.
We have 5 objectives. Number one, we teach classes in order to educate. We provide counseling in order to repair. We create a community in order to support. We believe in giving challenges. Every couple is going to face challenges in life. We believe in being intentional in the challenges that we give to strengthen those relationships. And then we create cooperative events in order to entertain. So those 5 clear objectives, when a couple invests in their marriage, putting money in their marriage, effort in their marriage, all of a sudden it can transform and be all that it was supposed to be.
We found that that's the thing. These are the things that you do before you get married. Before you were married, you were doing all these things. You were adventurous. You were exciting. You dated. You went to activities together. Then you get married and you stop doing those things. So we found that by bringing those things back into our marriages later, even with the kids, that was what would reinforce and enforce that love feeling to come back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and somewhere along the way, we got the mindset maybe in the Christian community or something, we're not supposed to talk about sex, you know, too. So I think that this is great because we need to talk about it.
Yes. You know, what's so interesting is that I would say 95% of all of my speaking engagements on college campuses was convincing college students not to have sex. And I found that, you know, I got to convince married folks to get in the bed and single folks to get out the bed. And the same passion that I put into the abstinence message is the same passion that I put into having a wonderfully sexually fulfilling relationship within your marriage. Because it's so necessary.
And it's ours. We own sex. We're married. It is sex. So it's ours.
It is. You're right. I think I've told my son very frankly, I've said, you know, I don't have the pot stories and the things like that, but I said if there was one thing in life I could dial back, it would have been being the way I was in college, where, you know, I was sexually active in college. And I was a little bit older in college, so and I just sort of thought, well, I have the right to that. But I told him, I said, I wish I hadn't, because it just brings a whole host of issues. For me, it meant clinging to people because I was having sex with them that I should have let go long ago. And that sex with the wrong partner clouds your judgment so badly and lets you put up with garbage you never would.
Of course.
And that's why when you're engaging in sex and you're being promiscuous, you really have to go through a season of singleness where you become one with yourself, one with your God, and have a what I call a he-tox, getting him out of your system, or a she-tox, getting her out of your system, and becoming whole and complete within yourself. And that's what we're all about, you know, teaching sexual integrity to singles and to married couples as well.
And I do, again, this is so important because so many people listening have children, and at night, we know how it is. I mean, you get so tired, and then of course if you have a child who stays up later and later, and then it's just easy to go to bed. But then one day adds to the next and the next. So this is so important to be so intentional about your relationship.
And that's why we're so excited about what we have coming up. Now, August is what we call Sex Month. Every single month we have a different theme that we focus on.
Just 1 month, man? Come on.
Well, no.
So excited to hear now.
We're just talking about it for 1 month. And so every single week we have different topics where we're dealing with this, you know, sexual issues, whether talking about putting passion back into your relationship or dealing with pornography, infidelity, all types of things. But what we're doing is we're sponsoring a 7-day extraordinary sex challenge for married couples. And we're excited about that.
I want you to tell us more about that when we join you for the second half of the interview. But right now, but Tanya, did you know that August is Sex Month? All month long.
It is, according to our guest. Yes.
We're going to jump right back in the interview because I don't want to waste a minute of this. But we're just speaking with Daniela and Hasani about the Couples Academy and about enriching your marriage a little bit more and keeping it on track when it comes to your intimate relations. And let's jump back into...
Well, let me just clarify. August is Sex Month, but that is not the only month that you should be having sex. It should be all throughout the year.
Otherwise, July is going to be baby month.
But you should have sex for 7 days in August. That's what you should be doing.
We're doing a 7-day extraordinary sex challenge for couples, and we're excited about it. And what's so powerful is that we've gotten such a tremendous response. People from all over the country and internationally that are finding about our challenge. And so it's not just about the sex, but what the sex can do for your relationship. So it allows you to focus on other troubled issues within your relationship and bring closure to certain things and to begin anew.
Well, I told Tanya today, I said I wish sex was like rollover minutes, that, you know, if I didn't use it all up this month, that I could carry it into the next month as well. But, you know, truly, sex is an interesting very important dynamic. In fact, God wrote an entire book of the Bible about it and really encouraged it. But yet the interesting thing is like we were talking about during a few minutes ago, we were talking about the trouble is that we're raising children and we're teaching them, you know, at a young age, you know, you don't want to do sex or anything like that. And all of a sudden it's their honeymoon and dad turns and goes, now go get them, Tiger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We've done a poor job. And I just said this, the church and the home are the two institutions that have remained silent on the issue of sexuality, particularly when dealing with their children. Listen, we need to teach that sex is a gift from God, and it has many purposes. Yes, it's for procreation, but it's also for recreation, and it's also for communication, and it's also for release. And if we truly understand all the dimensions of sexuality, I think that more couples will be more embracive of it.
Amen.
I also think that there's a huge issue with imbalance in the family where moms are just tired and husbands are overworked, and so nobody's making time for it. And so part of the 7-day sex challenge is to help people just make it a priority. For 7 full days, make it a priority and make it exciting and different and new and change it up and just get excited about it. So that's what it's all about.
Okay, and so that is this something that people can sign up for?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So tell us about, like, how does someone get involved in the challenge and what are the 7 days?
All they simply have to do is go to our website, which is couplesacademy.org, to find out all the details. You simply sign up, and what we're doing is we're preparing them week by week of what they need to do to get in the mindset. Because as she said, you have to make a commitment to every single day. In the beginning of your relationship, it was nothing to have sex for 7 days straight, several times a day. But now it's something that you really have to get your mind into.
You really do.
We are, what we're doing is focusing on creating not only intimacy, but making it fun and exciting. You know, a lot of times sex has just become so mundane, so boring, and so we want to switch it up. And so we're giving them suggestions of what they can do every day, just to put that spice back in their marriage.
You know what's interesting too is I've worked with a lot of men in the course of what I do outside of ministry, and one of the things that I've known about men is oftentimes, even more so than women, when there's a failed attempt at sex, whether it's, you know, a suggestion, something as small as maybe, hey, what do you think about tonight? No, I'm not really interested. Or you try and there's a performance issue, that the next time men are even more gun shy and then more gun shy, and suddenly she's like over here going, he's not into me anymore, and he's over here going, I don't want to try again because it's humiliating to fail.
We just talked about that on the radio show, and we were saying that it's taboo that you should stop and say, can you do it this way, or I don't like it that way. We are trained from the media that that's not romantic. But this is not TV. It's not a porn. This is your life. This is your wife. This is your husband. And we need to feel free to be able to express what we want in our marriage and in sexuality. We need to let that go.
And to that point, one of the biggest problems with our sex lives is our failure to properly and effectively communicate. Because if we had great communication, a lot of these issues that you just mentioned would no longer exist.
And I think too, a part of having a healthy sex life is also learning to have boundaries. I kiddingly said that when my son came out of my wife, he then turned around and stood guard over the very same place he came out of for the next 12 years. But truly, it is hard. Like you said, you've got 4 daughters running around the house. You know, so spontaneity and sex at this stage in my life and probably yours, it does not exist. This is a planned activity.
You have to plan. You have to plan, and you have to get over the fact that that's not romantic. It's
it doesn't feel as
romantic because you planned it and you're actually going to have sex instead of ignoring it and not having sex. I mean, we have to plan on a different level now. My daughter is 9, and now she like hides in our room and does, you know, she goofs around and wants to hide. We have to like sweep the house and sweep the room,
the door,
sweep her team.
We have to do all that, but we do that and make time for one another, and that's what you've got to do.
You do.
So many couples who focus on the children specifically and exclusively grow up, the kids leave, and now they're suffering from the empty nest syndrome because they never really took the time to get to know each other. And so we believe in the concept of partners first, parents second. Now, obviously, you're giving your children more time in terms of quantity, but it's about making sure that you have quality time with your partner so that those issues don't occur in your relationship.
Well, you probably will like this, and you probably do this too. I say, I actually like this man. I really do. He's my best friend. I enjoy him, and I do know that my son's in denial about moving out, but he is going to move out. Okay, so it's going to happen.
My snakes.
It's going down. But here's the thing. I knew that. I don't want to turn to him one day and go, I don't know you, and I don't like you.
Yeah.
And don't you see so many couples getting divorced once their kids go to college?
I have a client recently, well, a couple months ago, that had that same issue. Her son was going off to college. She was an empty nester, and we were on the phone, and I was going through some, stuff with her website, and she was just like, "Oh my God, please stay on the phone with me. I don't know him, and I don't want to talk to him." Like, that's how serious it is. And so, we have to invest in our marriages, just like we invest in our children. People throw everything into the children. They'll sacrifice the person that they love and marry for the children.
Right.
We have to put that same effort into our spouses.
They really do.
Yeah, and that's why we created Couples Academy.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing we find out is that a lot of times couples have issues, but they're not on one accord in terms of getting help. As soon as you mention counseling, in a general sense, more men have problems with counseling.
Well, that's because they get beat up in counseling usually.
Sure enough. So that's why we believe in taking a holistic approach. Yeah. Yes, we provide counseling, but we also have a Power Couples University, where we actually, it's a virtual school, and we teach classes, right? That's non-invasive, right? I'm not getting in your business, but I'm still giving you the fundamentals and the skill sets required to have a healthy relationship.
Yeah, excellent.
And couples love it.
Yeah. And Hasani, you had told me too, we were talking about, offset during the break, about the mindsets, again, of like being told your whole life, save yourself, and then your wedding night and go for it.
Yes.
And you were saying something really important, how you help people overcome those mindsets. Tell us about that.
The reality is, if you spend all of your life hearing that it's bad, it's sin, it's evil, which is incorrect. Listen, a grape can be used for medicinal purposes. A grape can be used for its nutritional value. But that same grape, given a certain twist and given a certain, can be used for harm.
Sure.
It's not what you use, but how you use what you use, and not where you get it from, but what you do with it once you get it. So sex is not bad. Sex is a gift created by God, but it's about doing it in its proper season. So if you've been taught that it's bad all your life, and now you are free to have it, deeply in the recesses of your mind, you believe that it's bad. 95% of your behavior is determined by your subconscious mind and those deeply embedded belief systems that we have to unroot and re-educate you about what sex means in your marriage.
Good. So this is something that people can expect when they go through your program.
Absolutely.
It seems like it's good for you to explore your curiosity about your partner. And a lot of times, like we said before, in churches and that, you're taught to squelch that, whereas the opposite is true, because the more interested and curious you are about her, then it's like anything else. The more in tune with her you're going to be.
Yes, when we were earlier on, when we were just getting married and we were free to explore sex and everything, I really had a problem with the fact that the only resources out there were things in the world. There was nothing for Christians that wanted to do things right and holy. Everything was, tantric and crazy things. And so I think that it's important for us to have a place to go to turn for counseling and wisdom in sexuality and in marriage.
That's fantastic.
And that's what Couples Academy is doing.
And see, this is what I love about people like you that do. When you see a need, you create it.
That's right.
You're using your talents and your passions and your relationship.
Well, in the last 30 seconds that we have, we want to find out where to connect with you, so we can get our homework, so I can do 97 days of sex.
I'm with you, brother.
All right.
97 days.
For all those all over the country, you can go to couplesacademy.org, couplesacademy.org. You can also connect with us on Facebook, on Twitter. Get involved. Beyond the challenge, we do so many things throughout the year, retreats, cruises, and we would love for you to be a part of our family.
That is fantastic. You guys are going to love.
You got your homework now, so
you're going to love connecting with Hasani and Danielle and what they're doing. Please go to their website and check them out.